Hi, what's up? My name is Adam, and you are on Cyber Raccoon channel. Today I'm going to tell you about games which events take place in London. Watch the video to the end, subscribe our channel and you will always be aware of what to play today. Frostpunk. At the end of the 19th century, Britain, like the whole world, suffered a catastrophe. A colossal snowstorm came from the north and destroyed everything in its path, leaving the whole country without food, and then a storm also flew from the south. All this is a consequence of the global cooling associated with emissions from volcanoes and the extinction of the sun. Of course, a hungry population, which already had nothing to lose, began to rampage and destroy what nature could not reach. Now the only salvation is the steam generators, which are being built on the lands where there are still resources left. Frostpunk is a survival in a cold hell, and the game takes place in New London, the last citadel of humanity. Sunless Sea. Queen Victoria sold her capital to the underworld to save Prince Albert. Now London continues to live its own life, only underground, where not a single ray of sunlight falls, and strange creatures roam the streets. Traveling around this world is a pleasure. The atmosphere of Lovecraft's all-consuming horror is surprisingly harmoniously intertwined with Pratchett's irony. The Mummy Demastered. Adventure 2D action on PC. The Mummy Demastered will make you fight against the awakened ancient evil in the person of the Egyptian princess Amenet and supernatural creatures under her command. You are a trained ghost hunter working for Prodigium, a company that specializes in just that kind of business. Communication with allies is lost, so you will have to deal with hordes of zombies and other evil spirits on the streets of London on your own in order to stop this horror and find out what happened to other Prodigium agents. It was SimCity that became the game, thanks to which the city building simulator turned into a full-fledged genre. SimCity has undergone significant changes compared to the previous parts of the series. The concept of waste management, farms and agricultural buildings has been added. With the re-edition, the world's economic and cultural centers, including London, became available. And for the sixth part, released 14 years after SimCity, there is an addition to the English city, which opens access to London architectural objects. Assassin's Creed Syndicate. The ninth part of the Assassin's Creed series will send us to Victorian London, where the twin assassins Jacob and Evie Fry continue their fight against the Templars and are looking for an ancient artifact, the Shroud of Eden. The game perfectly sustains the atmosphere of London in the middle of the last century. During their adventures, the heroes will meet more than one historical character: Charles Darwin, Alexander Graham Bell, Karl Marx and Charles Dickens, longtime friends of Evie and Jacob. Arthur Conan Doyle helps them investigate crimes. The assassins are even waiting for an audience with Queen Victoria herself. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Although the most famous Englishman is just a figment of the writer's fantasy, he managed to influence world culture much more strongly than most real people. The main series, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes from the Ukrainian studio Frogwares, has many games, each of which is a separate chapter in the life of the genius detective Sherlock Holmes and his faithful friend and assistant Dr. Watson, who investigate the terrible crimes that take place on the streets of decent old London. In Watch Dogs: Legion, the action takes place in London, and the players are waiting for a dark plot. After Brexit, the UK was covered by a crisis, and the government controls absolutely all aspects of citizens' lives. In a dystopian future, anyone can become a member of the resistance. For the first time in the series, the developers did not introduce a pronounced protagonist, but made it possible to recruit ordinary citizens, even a spy, even a movie star, even a sweet granny. The capital in the game serves not only as a decoration, but serves as a reflection of the fictional history of Britain. Perhaps one of the best projects where you can explore London inside out. Zombie. Zombie action has become one of the few good horror games for the Wii U console. After 3 years of exclusivity, the project has gone to other platforms, including PC, with improved graphics and adapted controls. London is captured by the living dead, and the trapped people can only flee, hoping for a miracle. There are few resources, and there are many enemies. There is nowhere to wait for help, and death is constant. After the death of a character, the game generates a new hero who can find equipment abandoned by his predecessor, or even collide with him, who has risen from the dead. Zombie is atmospheric and addictive, but rather short and full of bugs. London Detective Mysteria. A detective visual novel that tells a story of love and adventure set in Victorian London. Lady Emily Whiteley will have to unravel a mysterious case and meet many famous personalities from works of art, including Sherlock Holmes, Arsène Lupin, Jack the Ripper and others. All this, in the style of anime, with a delightful soundtrack and entertaining plot twists. Dance of Death, New Lac Fey. Another game that exploits popular British myths, about Jack the Ripper, King Arthur, and so on. Players will have to try on the roles of Sir Lancelot and the Morgana Fairy and save the inhabitants of Whitechapel from a bloodthirsty maniac. In terms of gameplay, Dance of Death, New Lac Fey is a classic adventure game in which you need to explore locations, solve puzzles, communicate with NPCs and unravel the tangle of secrets step by step. At the same time, the game can boast of stellar actors and the voice acting of the characters and adult themes throughout the entire storyline. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is not so much about London as about England as a whole. In the role of a Viking named Eivor, players will have to explore the islands of the 9th century period, decide the fate of entire kingdoms and find a new home for the protagonist's clan. London in the game is represented by a small, rather cramped and gloomy town, in which gamers will have several interesting missions. Of course, it will do without Big Ben, Tower Bridge and double-decker buses, but it will not be superfluous to take a tour of the city's history. The Order, 1886. An alternate version of 1880s London mixes steampunk, fantasy and Victorian elements with the Knights of the Round Table battling werewolves. The plot features Nikola Tesla, and airships hovering over the city. The Order, 1886 looks like a good movie. It plays, in fact, the same. It's a fairly simple shooter that hardly has time to accelerate, and ends in 4 hours. Nevertheless, the game is noteworthy, thanks to the unique combination of settings and stunningly beautiful graphics. Train Simulator, London Subway. A subway simulator in which the London subway is recreated in detail, and the player has the role of a train driver transporting passengers between stations. In Train Simulator, London Subway, everything starts small, but gradually, completing missions and earning points, the gamer will open new cars and stations, improve their composition and quickly solve problems. Another positive feature of the project was the extremely low cost, but it is worth considering that the developers were unable to get rid of all the bugs, and therefore there is a possibility of encountering unpleasant problems. Project Highrise, London Life. Leading companies open offices in the world capital of finance and media, London. Your task is to build chic skyscrapers so that they want to rent an office from you. London Life brings new tenants, banks, small and big banks, stock exchanges, recording studios, indie game developers and filmmakers flocking here to settle in the spacious office. The atmosphere of London, serious and business by day, loose and carefree at night, is observed in every detail, from chic lobbies with luxurious antique chandeliers to small cozy pubs. Vampyr. The year is 1918 and the Spanish flu epidemic. Your name is Jonathan Reed, and you are a doctor and a very sensible one. It was you who came up with the method of blood transfusion that saved many lives. But suddenly the irreparable happens. Dr. Reed wakes up in a ditch, being turned into a vampire. Now you have a lot of things to do. Find out what happened to you and why. Get food for yourself, do quests, and continue to heal the sick, because there is no one else. Interestingly, the more a vampire knows about his victim, the more you can drink from it, so you will have to delve into the dirty laundry of Londoners. And do not forget that you are not the only dangerous creature on the night streets. One Day in London is an atmospheric visual novel with a non-linear storyline, released in 2016. This is a game about the Victorian era, or rather, about the fascination with the occult, secret societies and demons so common in those days. It is the demon that our character turns out to be possessed as a result of an unsuccessful ritual of the Golden Dawn, one of the most influential occult organizations of the century before last. The hero will have to fight his own obsession, deal with other people's demons, experience tragic losses, and become a victim of intrigue. Hellgate, London is a post-apocalyptic action RPG that tells a scary story about the future of London. The plot of the game takes place in 2038, when hordes of demons poured into the city from the very depths of hell after the opening of the portal. Those who are lucky enough to survive, including you, will have to enter into an unequal battle. To do this, you have to join one of three factions: the Order of the Templars, the Kabbalists, keen on occult sciences, or the Hunters, seasoned warriors who deal with evil spirits with the help of the latest weapons. Cities in motion. Who among us, standing at a public transport stop during rush hour, did not think that it was time for the city authorities to start taking a more responsible attitude towards organizing the transportation of passengers? Cities in Motion is an excellent transport simulator in which the player can try himself as the head of a company that builds and maintains transport networks. Everything related to passenger transportation is in his power: vehicle models, work schedule, route, driver's salaries, etc. 12 add-ons were released for the game, with each of which new cities, models, buses, trams, metro and helicopters, new types of transport and scenarios appeared in Cities in Motion. With DLC London, it became possible to manage shipments in the British capital. It can be downloaded separately on Steam. Recontact London Cyber Puzzle. This detective game combines live-action cinematography and views of London with computer graphics, and the storyline offers to investigate crimes using interrogation transcripts, surveillance footage, satellite photos and other clues. Recontact London Cyber Puzzle tells an extraordinary story about the search for a ghost in a modern metropolis. Players are waiting for a famously twisted intrigue in a scenario that can develop in different directions, depending on the decisions made. We look forward to an exciting FMV game in which you can enjoy the beautiful London landscapes. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write it in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel, press like, turn on notifications, watch our other videos, and you will always be aware of what to play today.